Hello friends, welcome back to the Parsonage. It's Pastor Don from First United Methodist Church of Brazoria, and it's time for today's stay-at-home daily devotional. But before I start, I'd like to offer a brief non-commercial message about Vacation Bible School. Due to the COVID-19, we deemed an in-person VBS to be unwise and potentially endangering both the children and the adult volunteers. Alternately then, we and our neighbors at First Presbyterian Church here in Brazoria will be offering a virtual VBS next month. The theme is Focus, and it will be streamed on a closed Facebook group to preserve copyright July 13th through the 17th. Each day will stream 2 curriculum videos including sing-along songs, a Bible story, and some surprises, one for elementary age children and another one for the pre-K. There will also be 2 fun craft videos streamed each day, again one for elementary and one for pre-K. And the videos will stay up so you can watch them anytime at your convenience. Each day the pre-K videos will stream at 9 a.m. and the elementary will follow at 10 a.m. Now, children will have to be registered to watch, and you can register them by emailing the address below on your screen or by calling the church office at 798-2220. In addition, we will have a live streamed parent information orientation event at 2 p.m. on Wednesday, July 1st. Don't miss out. This virtual VBS, friends, is open to anyone, wherever you may be, around the world for that matter, and I hope your children will be a part. We look forward to having them join us for Vacation Bible School. Now, friends, back to the devotional. Have you ever made an excuse for not doing something? Come on now. I don't know, played hooky from school, saying you were sick, being late, and saying that traffic was just terrible. Well, the late Dr. Jim Moore wrote a book with the wonderful title, Yes, Lord, I Have Sinned, but I Have Several Excellent Excuses. And it would seem that we Christians are pretty good, like everybody else, of weaseling out of things we don't want to do by adeptly offering clever excuses. Curiously, one thing folks have literally for centuries been making excuses for avoiding is, believe it or not, Holy Communion. Now, John Wesley, the father of the United Methodist Church, directed Methodists in North America to, quote, celebrate the supper of the Lord every Lord's Day. And, well, the meaning of the Lord's Day can vary from every Sunday to every day. For, the psalmist said, "This is the day the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it." Nevertheless, Methodist people, intentionally try to avoid Holy Communion, and they've given many reasons, well, actually excuses for why they do. It takes too long. It makes the service too long. Friends, if you're too busy to receive at the Lord's table at least once a week, you're either too busy or you have your priorities really mixed up. Another excuse, it's not special if it happens too often. Consider this excuse with your family at your home. If you only fed your children once a month or once a quarter, that infrequent meal will be special for sure, but no one would starve their children or their families, right? Nor the children of God. However, the most curious excuse is, I don't feel worthy to receive. Why, John Wesley himself spoke about this specifically, saying, quote, "However, let us see the particular excuses which men commonly make for not obeying it," meaning taking communion. The most common is, "I am unworthy," and quote, "He that eateth and drinketh unworthily eateth and drinketh damnation to himself. Therefore, I dare not communicate, lest I should eat and drink to my own damnation." His brother Charles even wrote a hymn where he counters communion excuses, saying, "Do not begin to make excuse. Do not you his grace refuse. Your worldly cares and pleasures leave, and take what Jesus hath to give." Unquote. So all excuses aside, let's talk about the whole worthiness issue. The basis for this comes from a simple misreading of 1 Corinthians chapter 11, verse 27. In the King James Version, it reads, "Wherefore, whosoever shall eat this bread and drink this cup of the Lord unworthily shall be guilty of the body and blood of the Lord." Unquote. Now that's a pretty severe warning. If we receive unworthily, we shall be guilty of essentially the crucifixion of Christ. So seemingly we'd better refrain from communion until we're worthy, right? Not so fast. The operative word in verse 27 is unworthily, anaxios in the original Greek. The excuse makers read the word as an adjective, a word describing themselves like the word good in Good Samaritan, but it's not. It's not an adjective, it's an adverb. It's modifying the preceding verbs to eat and to drink, not the person eating or drinking. It's describing the manner of eating and drinking, not the eater or the drinker. In other words, as the New Revised Standard Version properly translates the sentence, "Whoever therefore eats the bread or drinks the cup of the Lord in an unworthy manner will be answerable for the body and blood of the Lord." Unquote. You see, 1 Corinthians was a pastoral letter aimed at resolving issues and problems, divisions, if you will, in the church there. And one issue is described a bit earlier in the chapter, saying, quote, "Now, in the following instructions, I do not commend you, because when you come together," meaning for worship, "when you come together, it is not for the better, but for the worse. For to begin with, when you come together as a church, I hear that there are divisions among you, and to some extent, I believe it." Paul continues, "Indeed, there have to be factions among you, for only so will it become clear who among you are genuine. When you come together, it is not really to eat the Lord's Supper. For when the time comes to eat, each of you goes ahead with your own supper, and one goes hungry and another becomes drunk. What? Do you not have homes to eat and drink in? Or do you show contempt for the church of God and humiliate those who have nothing?" Paul says, "What should I say to you? Should I commend you? In this matter I do not commend you." Holy Communion then in Corinth had ceased to be a holy sharing of the body and blood of Christ and had devolved into a raucous banquet and drinking festival. The rich folks who didn't work came early and ate all the food and got drunk on the wine, leaving mere crumbs, if that, for the less fortunate who had to come later after work, while they themselves reveled in their gluttony and intoxication. It wasn't an act of community worship, it was a kegger with food. And this isn't too surprising if you think about it. After all, Corinth coined the phrase, "Eat, drink, and be merry, for tomorrow we may die." Well, St. Paul was having none of it. He said, "When you come together, it is not really to eat the Lord's Supper," unquote. Their manner was vain and selfish. Whereas communion is supposed to be about community sharing of the Christ, not a few rich people eating their fill and dancing with the proverbial lampshades on their head. No, Paul here in verse 27 was speaking about their behavior, their manners at communion, not the worthiness of the communicants. To that end, my friends, we're all unworthy because we're all sinners. As John Wesley himself put it, quote, "You are unworthy of it. It is sure, and God knows it." Unquote. He is pleased to offer it, meaning communion. Nevertheless, will you not accept of it? He offers to deliver your soul from death. You are unworthy to live, but will you therefore refuse life? He offers to endue your soul with new strength because you are unworthy of it. Will you deny to take it? What can God Himself do for us further if we refuse His mercy because we're unworthy of it? Unquote. So friends, if you think you need to pass a worthiness test to receive communion, you're wrong. Christ passed it for all of us. Quote, worthy is the Lamb that was slaughtered to receive power, wealth, and wisdom, and might, and honor, and glory, and blessing. So if you ever feel worthy to receive on your own goodness, you just failed the worthiness test. Like the traditional prayer before communion says, we are not worthy so much as to gather up the crumbs unto thy table. It's God's mercy made flesh in Christ that invites us, His new creation, to receive of the body and blood. As Charles Wesley wrote so eloquently, come, sinners, to the gospel feast. Let every soul be Jesus' guest. You need not one be left behind, for God hath bid all humankind. What we need to do is stop making excuses and accept God's gracious invitation and receive the sacraments as often as possible so that we may be nourished for our ministry and discipleship. Friends, our Lord hears a lot of excuses for us for all sorts of things. Let's not foolishly excuse ourselves from His grace, love, and forgiveness, for that truly is conduct unworthy of disciples. Grace, peace, and good health always, and have a blessed day.